but mankind won't be destroyed.
Hey Castheads, welcome to Malaysia. You're with me, Nigel, and I'm here with Glen from Minigt, and it's a wonderful, wonderful evening in Malaysia. We are really excited. We're about to kick off the Malaysia Diecast Expo tomorrow. A reminder to you guys, if you haven't made plans and you're in Malaysia and you're a diecast fan, this is not something that you are going to want to miss. In fact, you're going to look back on all the coverage that's been going on, and you're going to feel really bad that you didn't make it. So please, if you're a diecast fan, it's wonderful. The weather is perfect. It's going to be a fantastic day, and Mini GT is going to rock everybody's world. So on to Glen. Glen, what are we all doing here?
No, it's wonderful to be here because after COVID, we stay home. You know, we try to understand the community by internet, but nothing beats come here, meet everybody in person, and feel the excitement. So, and I love it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So one night in Malaysia, what is that all about?
It's an idea we had since a few years ago. It's we feel yes, in certain way, this is model car business. It's a business, but it's a business that needs a lot of passion behind. We always want to find an event to connect with collectors. We want them to understand we are just petrol heads, model lovers, just like them. You know, there's no different except we do this for a living.
Yeah.
And we would like to exchange ideas. It's also good for us to communicate with collectors because they have millions of different questions, and we want to answer them so they can understand a lot of things behind the model car development or making process, and they understand what seems made it this way or what's the directions.
Right.
Yeah.
So what special things are you going to be bringing to the Malaysia Diecast Expo tomorrow? I know one special thing you're bringing is Junimai from Kaido House. Tell us a bit about that, because unfortunately he couldn't be here for this. So
it's a wonderful partnership. It's unexpected. It wasn't planned. We had the opportunity to meet and work together. And at the beginning, June was like, "Oh, Glenn, can we do some model? I have some idea, decorations." No, come on, you are creative. We want you to do something different. I'm not interested. Somebody take the current tooling, just put a different livery. You know, so we actually offer him to do for freedom. Just design your own tooling, design all your own car. My job as June's partner is to make it turn into reality.
right.
His idea, and it's been working very well. So I told him 6 months ago, I was like, let's go to Southeast Asia. Let's start meeting the fans. We need to talk to them, to see them. And so June said, okay.
So I know you've been doing a lot of traveling.
Yes.
And you've been meeting a lot of communities around the world.
Yeah.
Tell us how that's been, because tomorrow is going to be a completely new day. So won't be able to talk about that until you meet the Malaysian crowd. But how has it been moving from country to country? I know you've been in the States, you then went to Japan.
Yes.
What has it been like? What has been the sort of vibe that you've been getting from the diecast communities there?
Every country, I mean, the culture is a little bit different. Like Japan, they're more reserved, they're quiet, they're polite. And then the US, like how they are more open and direct. So they are all different. For us, it's always talk to different people, and we try to find some balance for the program that we have a little bit of everything for each country. Thanks to everybody's support for our brand, we are kind of reached to a stage now, like we might introduce a car that you might not carry in the past, just because Mini GT, and you'll be like, oh, why? And then you start getting intrigued and learning something new about that particular car. And we feel it's fun. So we're looking into some direction that we want to start develop some tooling, some cars to introduce to collectors different part of the world and something special.
My personal favorite in the last lot of cars that you guys have put out has been the Bentley Bacala.
Yeah.
It is a stunning model, and I just love how you guys have got the wheels, because that sort of wheel design that Bentley has done on the Bacala, you guys have recreated it absolutely perfect. What has been the sort of downsides of having to create models like that to perfection? I mean, how hard is it to get it done and to make sure that it fits with the manufacturers who keep an eye on these things? Because I want to let the die-cast people know that it's not an easy thing to get these out.
It's a strange answer, but let me explain it this way. What's different about making 1/64 scale model versus 1843 1/12 scale model? Sometimes less is more. In the process, it's also new for me. You want to put more decals, more logo, more parts. You actually sometimes damage the look of the model.
Right.
Just because the size, the scale, the limitations of material. So sometimes we have to say, okay, no, we need to delete few things. We need to keep the look of the model clean. We need to capture that image you have in your mind about that car, and how to do it in a way perfect. That's awful. That's like you need to kind of tweak it and you start capture the essence.
Right. Now this is going to be a tough question, and I know it's been the sort of, I know a lot of people have asked you this question, and I think a lot more are going to ask you this question. It is a question that I've been asked as well, because one thing is Castheads and Minigt GT, we've been working together for a long time, and I personally love promoting the brand as well wherever I go. The quality control, I mean, how hard is it to keep that on the level? Because you do find people talking about it and having their say about it and all that. But I know for a fact that it's not an easy thing to do and keep an eye on, especially when you're dealing with so many models.
Yes.
Could you tell us a bit about that? Explain how difficult it is to kind of, make sure that everything is always right all the time.
I think the last 6-7 years, the way the 1/64 scale growing and with all the detail people put it in, sometimes a lot of collectors are still under the impression that making the model is kind of like all other makers used to do 10 years ago. It's not. It's a lot of tiny parts you put it in. So the more parts you put it in, the chance having a defect it gets higher. That just mathematically statistic. It is what it is. Then I always talk a few times. It's in human nature. You go into a production line. I mean, they are not model collectors, so the worker will be like, "Oh, it's a toy car.
Yeah,
it's a toy car. Come on, it's a toy car. Why do you get so serious about toy car? It's human nature." So it's very difficult to develop a system to do it in a way that people think it's simply just say add more QC. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And another thing is there's a limitation of how far you can push between the balance and the price. But I'm not making excuse for it. It's just a collector sometimes had to understand the reality and the balance. To be honest, we have third party doing the random QC check. Our rates normally falls about 6%. Sometimes get high about 8.5.
Right.
Yes, we have disasters happen. It happened a few times, and that's where we do recall and destroy of them. Last year we destroyed about 70 to 80,000 pieces.
What?
We crushed them. I mean, engineers like, nope. I said, call the company, and we actually crush the Glen Chou Delta. I'm not happy with the way it came out.
So you all ever thought about selling them as errors, like other brands do,
Well, I mean, I had to make it's my way to make a statement to show the suppliers. So we destroy about 27,000 pieces in front of his factory with like the crush truck.
That is.
And they were like, "Are you crazy?" Well, I mean, feel free to recycle the parts. I mean, scratch parts. Yeah, but we do that. But we don't go out and make a video show everybody do it. We feel it's our job. But at the same time, you have to have a balance.
Right.
That's why even the real car has warranty.
Yeah.
Right. And since nothing is perfect, but what I always tell the collector is, please understand, we just kind of like every children. We want to get A in every test. Sometimes we fail. Sometimes we did a good job, but it's not like a trend. We have every intention to do a good job. Otherwise, we wouldn't develop the model this way. We can do things much easier.
Yeah, of course.
But we go the hard way because we want to do a good model.
Of course, and destroying 70 to 80,000 models a year, that's quite I mean that's a certain loss compared to that, and that is something that you guys have to take on and absorb into y'all's business as well. So, how many models are you guys planning to produce a year? What is your...
Right now, we do, for item number, just on Minigt GT, we get, I would say, about 120 item numbers. And then you have a title house line, and then we have the truck series. That's like kind of my cute side project.
I love it. I love it. I struggled really hard to get myself an Actros, and I finally did. I think it was at a Malaysia Diecast Expo that I managed to secure one.
Yeah.
And I really, really love the truck series.
Yeah.
Are you guys thinking, so you'll be expanding more on the truck series as well?
Yeah, it's for me. It's kind of like a complete opposite of the hypercar. Like, right, you look at the Lamborghini, it's lightweight, it's low, it's cool, and it comes a big chunk of steel tanker truck. You know, it's so big, right? So when we designed that the container truck, the first thing I told him is like, I want metal container. They were like, Glenn, no, I want metal container. This is what when you see a big container, it's a big metal, it's heavy,
Yeah.
right? So I want that. So I said, no, we're making that in metal.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
That's brilliant. Now, what about the other brand? I know everything is centered around Mini GT, but you guys have some fantastic brands as well, like TSM.
Yeah.
Will that be on display tomorrow as well, or are we looking only at the Mini GT lineups that's
This one is only pure Mini GT lineup.
Right.
The reason when we created Mini GT, why we don't call it TSM 164, TSM Junior is the idea from the sky was like, no, this is not just one scale. It's a totally different philosophy, the way we do Mini GT. And we wanted the brand idea is very focused. So when collector comes to the booths, they feel the direction, they feel the brands. And it's different because TSM is resin, it's high-end die-cast or high-end resin, and the development philosophy is very different. And we don't want to confuse the collector.
Right. So do you find that many countries have different choices when it comes to the scales they get? You know, do you find that 164 is bigger in Asia and other scales are bigger in other countries, or do you think 164 has now become this global phenomenon that everybody wants to get their hands on?
It is. It's still big behind in Europe, or they like 164. They just not like to pay more than €5.
Right.
They still feel it's a €3-4 convenience store type of toy. They still collect it, but it's changing.
Right.
It's a very conservative culture. They do it very slowly, and it's different. I mean, the collector is still different collectors, but we're finding a lot of collectors fall in love collecting 164, and they're changing to 164 scale.
Nice. I think the problem is Europe has been very centric with Hot Wheels, and they're not used to having detailed 164s, and now I think they're starting to realize that detailed 164s are, you know, the new thing, and it's much nicer to have that in terms of space. And also it's always nice to have a well detailed small car where you look at it and you just marvel at the fact that the details are so perfect on it. Like, again, I keep going to the Bentley because, you know, even the paint job that you guys have put on that is absolutely fantastic. And how important is it for you all to be able to get the original paint color codes from the manufacturer itself for the cars?
It was hard because, yes, I mean, most of the time white is white, black is black, but there are some signature colors from the manufacturers. And then I often had to argue with them. I was like, you have these wonderful colors that we could recreate and capture the essence because it's form and color, and together that you have a visual experience. Why wouldn't you support us? So we actually, for some of the colors, we had to even make extra budget to buy it and really get make a pen chip into it. So we have this very big color database in our system that has many different colors. Yeah. So and we want that because it's important. It's part of the visual experience.
Nice. I think it really adds value to the models as well, because for me, thinking that I've got the correct color that Lamborghini has in their palette, and when I go to a Lamborghini website and I look at their color palette and I see, oh, I've got the same thing in the same color, it really adds value to the fact that, or adds value to the fantasy of being able to own that supercar and, you know, the sort of trappings that go with it. So I personally love it, and I think it's fantastic that you guys do that and bring that realism to the fantasy, because it really does help the fantasy feel more special.
Yeah, it's an idea we've been promoting kind of like when we started Mini GT. We were asking, so what's the central idea? And then we start realize like a lot of people feel 164 is small, so it's a toy. Then the idea is no, it's small, it's still good model. Good model and size is not the direct relationship. Yes, it affects it, it's more difficult to make it. Doesn't mean it's a bad model.
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea. And so why small model doesn't need spend extra time to get a color correct,
Yeah.
right? So that's one of the things we're doing, set out to change about 164, and it's been doing since the last 6 years.
Fantastic. Final question, Glenn. I know you're really busy. I know you've had a heavy day today. What can visitors to Malaysia Diecast Expo expect from Mini GT, and what's the itinerary going to be like tomorrow?
We showcase some of the, it's basic our vision of Mini GT. So we have some past models there, some current model, and some future model. It's like kind of past, present, and past. And then one thing we brought specially is special models. What I mean special models, there's a side of Mini GT we don't normally openly talk about it. It's a special or VIP project we did for VIP customer or car companies or team. And we time to time we get emails like, is this a Mini GT? And now we're going to showcase some of the models to like they get to see that some of the secret project we did in the past, or some of the special model we did in the past. So we're going to share that a little bit with the fans and collectors.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Glenn. It has been a pleasure talking to you. Like I said, I know you've got a lot on your plate, and I know you've got a lot to do before tomorrow. It's going to be very exciting.
Yes.
And I'm really excited actually to see a lot of the new stuff that's coming out, because I'm personally a Mini GT collector myself and a massive fan.
Yeah.
So, and so is Lance back there behind the camera. So, once again, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for getting us here. It has been an absolute pleasure, and super excited for tomorrow. So we'll catch up with you tomorrow and see how things are going, and have a good time.
Yeah, and then if you see me walking around in MDX, grab me. I'm happy to talk to you. All right.
Okay, so collectors, thank you so much for joining us. MDX is happening. Glenn is going to be there. Junimai is going to be there. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. If you haven't prepared to come, I think you just better start making plans as far as possible. This is me, Nigel, signing off. I'm going to go back and get some rest. Like to say a big shout out to Puma. Castheads wears Puma all the time. And yeah, it's going to be a mad weekend. So stay locked on to all our socials, because we're going to be covering the entire event. All right, take it easy, guys. And once again, thank you so much.